Okay, we're going to talk about Parsha Masai. Okay, Parsha Masai is the last one of Bamidbar, the last one of Numbers, and we overlook it many times because it goes together. Matis Masai, they go together, so it's overlooked many times in many years. So we all know. Okay, what does Masai talk about? Okay, it talks about all the stops. It talks about all the stops that the Yidden took throughout the Midbar, 42 stops, going through from Mitzrayim all the way to the Yarden, and all these names have specific meaning, and you could go into it. So many Dvar Torahs on those names. But afterwards, what happens later on in the Parsha? Later on in the Parsha, we talk about the borders of Eretz Yisrael, the borders of the land of Israel, exactly from the top to the bottom, right from east to west. And it also goes into how to separate, how to split the land, make that raffle, that everybody gets their part, their individual part. Then it goes into Galus about people who killed, they have to go to Arei Miklat. So we have so much more in this Parsha, and it's a very deep Parsha, and we just overlook it sometimes. So we're going to go into the point of borders. The borders of Eretz Yisrael. So, of course, I'm not a geologist. I don't know the borders exactly. There are people who know that very well. And maybe one day, if one of you are interested and you know something about it, come, let's talk. I'd love to know more. Please give me some insight in that. I'm sure many people would love to hear more. But let's understand the idea of borders. Okay, first of all, we live in America. What's going on with the southern border is unbelievable. A country, the leadership of a country saying the border is not protected, come on in, you're free to come in, and not just that, you're free to come and take our money and rely on our healthcare system, education system, which is terrible. But what about the fact of people that we don't want, people that are against our interests? That's definitely something we don't want. We have to make sure that it gets cleared up, that these problems aren't coming in. So borders are what define the inside from the outside. Who is inside and who is on the outside? What do we protect for the people inside? What do they believe in? What's the sovereignty and the civilization that civilized people in this country want? And what's the criminality that we say that we don't want to be part of us? Or is it even not criminal, but do we want people that don't hold our values to be part of this country? And is there a way to merge these values? Because we know America is the land of the free, and different religions are free to do whatever they want. And if they work hard enough and change the majority's way of thought, and they become the majority, then they could vote themselves into office. But the land of the free, it's free for everyone. It's free for whatever religion. But there's law that if you want to come into this country, you can't break the law just by coming in. You have to come in legally and then continue doing what you want to do on the inside. Borders are what keep us safe on the inside. If we have certain values, if we have a rule of law, we have to learn how to keep it properly. And the same thing is with our bodies. If we want for ourselves to be safe, we have to make sure we have good company, we keep good company. We have to make sure that the things that go into our minds are protected. We don't want everything and anything to just come and flood into our minds, because the subconscious never forgets. Things go in there and they start making us do things according to those subconscious thoughts. We want certain things based on things that we saw. We desire certain ideas and certain values or immoral values because of things that we secretly wish for. And we need to be very careful with our borders, not just with the borders of the physical land. We have to be careful with our borders of our spiritual land. And the same thing, we have to make sure, what do we take out of our mouths? What do we bring out with our actions? What are our thoughts on the inside? You don't want to have a country where you have people plotting against the country from the inside. You're going to say, we're going to build this great wall around us, and the people on the inside will want to protect this country. You don't want to have a wall with a whole bunch of people that are looking to break the wall from the inside out. You want to be protected, you want to be safe, you want to be secure. You want to know that everybody on the inside is united as one under these values. So when we look at Eretz Yisrael, we look at the land of Eretz Yisrael. Hashem says, I want to go through all the borders, because I want you to know that in these borders there are going to be there are going to be values, there are going to be morals, there are going to be principles, and there's going to be a Torah that's going to guide you. And that Torah and that way of life is exactly what I want of you. Hashem says, if you want to leave Eretz Yisrael, the Gemara actually says that if you want to leave Eretz Yisrael, it's not so simple if you're allowed to leave. But if you want to leave, you have to make sure you leave as a Jew. And when you come back, you have to come back proving that you are. You have to know who you are. You have to know that when you leave and when you come back, you are that strong person who knows who you are. The people inside the nation are just as important as the nation itself. A nation cannot be without people, as the Gemara says, or ein melech b'lei am. There is no king without a nation. But guess what? There is no nation without its people. You need to have people, and every person needs to be healthy. Every person needs to have their borders, their boundaries, their circle of knowledge and that they keep themselves in, their principles that they keep, their values that they hold dear, their families and their communities, in order to make this a successful nation, a successful community, and livelihood. So Hashem says, when we're going to get Eretz Yisrael, we're going to separate them according to a raffle. We're going to make a raffle, and every tribe, every shevet is going to get its own space, and every person is going to get its own property line, and everybody is going to be in their own story. And that's how we have it with our life as well. Every person that we see, every person that you know, me, you, and everybody else, has their own life and their own destiny to fulfill. We have to know how to set our borders, how to set our boundaries around us, know who we are from the inside, know whom we want from the outside to come in and whom we don't want in our lives. We have to know how to separate ourselves from the bad and keep ourselves secure, clean, pure on the inside. And it's a raffle. Everybody has a different life. We all have our own little bag, our own little life that we have to deal with. And as they say, somebody once came to a rabbi and said, "Rabbi, my life is miserable. I don't know what to do." So the rabbi said, "Okay, close your eyes," clicks his fingers, and this person flies up to this huge room, and he sees a whole bunch of bags. And the rabbi tells him, "Listen, look around. You could choose whichever bag you want. And that's the bag that you're going to be taking back down, and those are going to be your new struggles in life." And this person starts going around. He's like, "Oh, this is too big. This is a duffel bag. This is a suitcase." And then in the corner, he finds this little tiny bag with a couple of coins inside, and he's like, picks it up. He's like, "Wow, this is so easy. This is so light. Put it into my little pocket. It's so cute." And he says, "This is what I want." And the rabbi says, "Hey, turn it around. Look at the name." And he sees that it's actually his. Every person has their own life. Every person has their own little bag of time that they have to deal with, and with the struggles and the personality that Hashem gave you in order to get through those struggles. And we have to learn how to deal with them. And in order to get there, we need to have borders. We need to have a secure perimeter around us to know what's going in and what's coming out. How do we deal with the things that bother us? How do we deal with people that we don't like? And how do we deal with struggles that just seem to just never end? Is it finances? Is it our relationships? Is it just with no luck? Anything a person does. Some people just wake up on the left side of the bed, and from the first minute they just fall off their bed, and then they have an accident that day, and then they have a whole bunch of just domino effect of just no luck for years, and people have to deal with that. And how do we get through that? How do we accept those things? And Hashem says, look at Eretz Yisrael. It has borders. And what does Hashem say in the beginning of Parshat Devarim? Eretz asher tamid asher Hashem Elokecha dorish oisa tamid. It's a land that Hashem inquires about her constantly. Einei Hashem Elokecha ba. The eyes of Hashem, your Lord, are on her. Mereishis Hashana ad achris shana, from the beginning of the year until the end of years. So you see, Hashem says, I constantly look at this land. I look at the borders and I see what's inside. And I don't remove my eyes. I inquire about the land. I want to know that it's doing well. And just as when Hashem sent us away in exile and the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, the second Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, and Hashem sent us away, He says the land will learn to grow, as we see in Parshat Masai, that Az tirtze haaretz es shapsesea. Since we didn't keep Shemitah, we didn't keep the 7 years like the Shemitah, the cycle, Hashem says now that you're going to be out of the land, now is when the land is going to keep Shemitah, not just for once in every 7 years. It's going to keep it every year because nobody's going to be there to work the land. And Hashem says, don't worry, the land is going to learn how to grow back. The land is going to be desolate, it's going to be empty, no one's going to be working it, but slowly, don't worry, I keep my eye on it, and these borders are going to surround it, and it will learn how to grow again, it'll learn to become the pride of the world again. Hashem tells us, not just do I do this for the land, I do this for every single person. I look at every person, and I know you go through a hard time, I know you're going through tough times, and sometimes you feel like no one's looking at you, but Hashem says, I look at you, because you are the nation that's going to be living within my land. And I constantly look at you just like I look at the land, and I want you to grow, I want you to learn that you are going to be able to get yourself up, rise to the occasion, live prosperously, live happily within those borders, and within that framework of mind that you're gonna mind frame that you're going to be putting yourself into. Follow the Torah, follow Hashem's guide, and you'll be able to live a full and prosperous life. Keep yourself in the boundaries, just like Eretz Yisrael has the ups and the downs, the hills and the valleys, and from east to west, the everything that it has inside, the beauty that it has to give. Every person has that beauty. Every person has an entire map of a country within themselves. Yeah, every person is a world of its own, and we have to remember Hashem looks at us, He wants us to succeed, and He looks forward for us to come back to His land. When Hashem destroyed Eretz Yisrael, He didn't destroy us. He preserved the Yidden. He said, the land, don't worry, I'll destroy it, but land stays land. It's going to rebuild itself. It's going to learn how to grow again. You too, I'm not going to destroy you. I'm going to send you away. And when you go away, you're going to be able to learn how to become better and better people, and come back to serving me properly. So now that we have the land, and we're back in our land of Eretz Yisrael, we see all these mitzvah initiatives where people start keeping Shemitah again, and doing mitzvahs, and paving the streets, paving the roads, and just making things happen in order to serve Hashem better. And we look at history. We look at history where we didn't have the land, and we were just going through one fall after another. First, we had through history, we had the Crusaders, we had the Charbon, we had the Romans, we had the Crusaders, then we had the Spanish Inquisition, then we had the Holocaust, and just the pogroms and everything just in between. And now we're finally back in our land. And the question is, are we going to keep on following that same pattern of the outside world, anti-Semites coming and hurting us and fighting us and trying to kill us again? Is that what we're supposed to be doing for the rest of our lives? No, now that we have our borders back, now that we get to see the physical territory of Israel being guarded and surrounded by Jewish people, many of them religious, we should start saying, okay, now that we have this, let's make sure we take our borders of our personal spiritual life very to heart. We have to make sure that we deal with the problems on the outside, unlike the way we did in the past. We have to see ourselves as real people connected to the pride of Hashem, saying, yes, I live a life truly connected to Hashem, and I place borders around me. I have siyagim and gidarim and tara ladarta ovid, as the Gemara says in Sefer Shabbos 11b, I think. And we say we're going to live properly. We're going to protect ourselves from physical, intellectual, emotional, and spiritual problems. And we're going to walk around proudly and tell the world, yes, we are Jewish. Yes, we believe in Hashem, and Hashem stands at our side, and He's the one that lives within us, within our walls. And that's the type of people we should be. And when someone comes and fights us, we say, hey, we know who we are. We have Hashem with us. And with His help, we are going to win. We're going to protect and preserve these borders. We're going to make sure that the things that come in here are proper and holy. And we're going to continue doing His mitzvahs. And we're going to stand proud, holding our flag, looking forward to the day when Mashiach is going to come into our borders, into ourselves, into our lives, into our hearts, into our souls, and take us all back to Yerushalayim. And those are strong lessons. And I hope you can internalize this and see how important it is that every person should make themselves protected and strong within, with the emunah of Hashem, and such type of people, such type of Yidden will bring the Geula. Such a type of mind frame, mindset is going to help us be victorious at the final days, at the end of days. And let us all as Jews come together and live that way. And there are so many books, so much history, and so much Judaism that you could delve into to get to know more. So, good luck. We look forward to that day. Hashem's name will be one. Everybody will say it as one, and we will all know it to be true. Have a wonderful Shabbos. My name is David Lemmer. Chazak Chazak, V'nis Chazek. Have a wonderful Shabbos. Reach me at lemmerhypno@gmail.com. I'm a hypnotherapist. Check out my books on Amazon. Who Am I? Tehillim Legacy Journal. Have a wonderful day. Good Shabbos. Thank you.